In this video, I'll be covering how to win your 1 vs X's, also known as clutching, in the Crucible. This will be aimed at survival, but almost all of the concepts carry over to elimination game modes like Trials too. I thought of a few ways of presenting this, but I think the best way is to go over the ideas first, then show a clip which demonstrates them. And just as a side note, the footage you're seeing right now is some random survival. I'll get to the clip later in the video. If I only had one sentence to summarize all of my points, this would be it. The single most important thing you should be looking to do in a clutch situation is isolating an opponent and taking the resulting 1v1. This is extremely important in Destiny, even more so than other FPS games, since fighting multiple people at once is almost impossible thanks to the relatively high time to kill. So, if everything goes right, you're looking to break down the engagement into a series of 1 vs 1s. To do this, you'll need a good grasp on where the enemies are and how they are approaching you. Thankfully, Destiny's radar is extremely revealing, so locating opponents is actually quite easy. Once you notice an opening which gives you a 1v1, try to get a kill as quickly as possible and repeat this process for any other enemies. This is where special ammo is immensely helpful since snipers and shotguns kill infinitely faster than primaries. Obviously, this is all easier said than done. Finding the right opening relies a lot on map knowledge and previous experience, but the basic concept of isolate, engage, then repeat is something anyone can start practicing with today. As I just mentioned, opening a team up for a 1v1 is not always easy. Most good teams will hunt you down very quickly and make it extremely hard to take any truly 1 vs 1 fight, but with good use of space, your chances of catching a player out are much higher. Beyond just finding single opponents, you need to move and create space in a way which sets you up to take further engagements. This is kind of hard to explain, so here's an example on my favorite map, Javelin 4. Credit to Reddit user R3LIKT for the map here. Here, there are 3 numbered enemies all shown in red, and you're sitting on the corner in blue. Enemies 1 and 3 are bearing down on you, but enemy 2 just respawned. Here's what your position would look like in game. A lot of people here would immediately notice this very obvious 1v1 opportunity between you and enemy number 1, and so they would push out into the open and try to take that fight right away. But I would actually say this is not your best option. Firstly, this doorway here is just a very awkward fight for you. Enemy 1 has a lot of cover they can duck in and out of easily, but most importantly, enemy 2 is almost certainly coming behind for cleanup, so even though you can get a 1v1 here, it isn't really setting you up for the next engagement. That's why map awareness and using your space well are so important, because not all 1v1s will benefit you. Recognizing the right opportunity is crucial. So what would you do instead? Well, you have a lot of options, but the one that stands out to me is circling back and trying to fight enemy 3 here in fuel. Even though you need to get the kill on enemy 3 very quickly so that enemy 1 doesn't have time to wrap behind you, your position after that fight will be a lot better than the fight you might have taken with enemy 1. On the subject of space, an important point to remember is to not let yourself get cornered. When you have nowhere to go, you can't work with any space, meaning you can no longer dictate which fights you want to engage or from which angles you want to engage them in. This is a short one, and something you probably could have guessed from the last 2 points. Even though playing your life is usually a good idea at the start of a round, in a 1vx, you simply don't have that luxury. To create space for yourself, you need to take out enemies fast, and possibly in suboptimal positions. The more you practice clutching, you'll start to notice that sometimes one risky kill can blow the map open and relieve a lot of pressure. If you play too passively, you're making it much easier for the enemy team to close in on your position and corner you. Talking about 1v1s is such a large topic that it could be a video in itself, but I'll cover some basics here. Whereas the 1vx is all about risks and speed, the 1v1 is methodical and slow. Often I see players pressure themselves into engaging the enemy too quickly. Try to avoid this. Take your time and wait for the right moment, when you have a good position with full health. A good tip is to sort of probe, without overcommitting, and see if you can catch the enemy in a bad position. If you take some shots, never be afraid of backing off for a few moments to regen. Also, while you don't want to mindlessly dump abilities and grenades onto your opponent, a good use of either can force the enemy into a bad position you can exploit. Here's a clip which contains some good examples of the previous points. I'll play you through my decisions during the video. Keep in mind I'm sniping, and it's also on a big map, so everything will pan out quite a bit slower than if you were using a shotgun on anomaly, for example. Excuse the poor quality on this one, I just recorded it off my shadow play, so it's only 720p.
Another one, two. Three, all three there, all three.
So let's stop this here at this 1v3. Now, I have a decision to make. Should I pick up heavy or not? I've been given the comms that all three are on the top part of the map, meaning I could be killed going for heavy, since they could realistically get to the top of steps in time to shoot me. However, since I have 3 to kill, and I'd rather not deal with 3 opponents and heavy, I'll pick it up. This is an example of a risk worth taking in a clutch situation. Great, I managed to get away with picking up the heavy. The first thing I'm thinking now is, how can I get a 1 versus 1 as soon as possible? Each second I wait before getting a pick is more time they can use to take my space away and corner me. I could try the rockets I picked up, but I think that would expose me too much, and I'd probably be killed if I didn't manage to take out all 3 at once, which is very unlikely. So instead, knowing that they'll probably be peeking me, I try to get a quick first pick with my sniper. That might not have seemed like it, but that was a hugely important kill. Now I have much more space and most importantly time to work with. I could re-peek, but both enemies are probably holding the angle expecting that, and they have a head glitch on me too. I want to change the angle and see if I can get another 1v1.
Oh, nasty. Another one was there. Both of them are there, right where you killed that dude. One pushing middle, both of them pushing where the heavy is at. Sniping, looking at you.
Oh yeah, broken wall. Middle broken wall.
As you saw, the enemies are choosing to play passively. They really shouldn't be peeking me here, but they do, so I'm able to probe a little and bait some shots. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten any headshots, and I only have 1 bullet left. Since time is running out, and I'd rather not have to worry about the point and 2 enemies, I take a risk and try one last peek on the sniper holding me to the left.
Still middle broken wall.
Still sniping, nice.
Now, since I have a 1v1, I'm not pressured by time or space. But since I took an important risk earlier and picked up rockets, I choose to play aggressively and close the distance to see if I can use them.
Can't see the other one.
He's running away, middle.
Oh.
You saw him, over the wall.
Archway, left, yeah. Someone needs a masterwork.
Nice. How'd you not kill that dude with that? Fuck.
Altogether, that was a decent clutch. Take note of how I work the space to always face one player at a time. Before I end the video, I just want to give a few general tips which I think could be helpful too. First off is that confidence goes a long way. It might sound a bit cheesy, but confidence helps a lot in avoiding passivity and taking risks. Finally, don't be too hard on yourself. Remember that clutching is all about capitalizing on enemy mistakes, so there really isn't much you can do when the enemy team plays perfectly, or even close to it. The odds are stacked against you. So there we have it. Let me know if you guys are interested in any more guides like this. Maybe shoot me some topic ideas. This is my first video of this type, and I'd like to make more content, so subscribe if you find this kind of stuff interesting or helpful.